Welcome to episode 250 of The Center Ring, presented by Alt. This is going to be the best episode ever because we're in the middle of the year, folks. We're halfway through 2020. What a fun year it's been. So we're going to recap our best moments, the most memorable moments of 2020 thus far. We also have a packed e-news to get to, and of course some follow-ups from last episode just to touch on. But before we get to any of that, let me tell you about my best friend. Let me tell you about Alt. Alt Esports is, I can't even say the number one clothing line anymore in esports because they do more than clothing now. They just announced they teamed up with the LA Gorillas for their new lineup of merch. And they got pint glasses, they got water bottles, they got everything. So it's not just clothes anymore. Alt is expanding their minds, expanding their outreach. And that's just better for you and me if you ask me. So go to altesports.com. You can follow them on Twitter at Ultimate. Let them know TCR sent you. You can get, I believe, the Overwatch League Doodle stuff is still available. Those look pretty badass. You can get the 101 Burglar hoodie while that is still available. That, I think, is like the coolest thing in the world, if you ask me. No bias. I'm not being biased here. And, of course, like I said, they just got new LA Gorillas. So if you're in the LA area, boom. Now you can walk around with a good water bottle from Alt and LA Gorillas. Let them know the Center Ring sent you.
Hey, this is Shroud, and you're listening to TCR.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to a brand new edition of The Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast. Yes, this is episode 250. They call it a milestone. So here it is. We are going to do a recap of what has happened thus far this year, as we are in, as I'm told by Anuj, the exact middle of the year. So figured, wow, what a good way to spend the time. So we'll discuss that. But before we do, make sure you follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. You can hit us up in our Discord. Join the conversation there. We've also set up a brand new fancy bot thanks to our friends over at juked.gg. So now, if you're ever wondering, gee, what matches are going on right now? It's right there in our Discord. They have set up, they do all the legwork. So this is not a paid advertiser. I'm just saying, Juked has always been nice to us. We're up on Juked. And now they created a bot for anyone. So if you have your own Discord, go ahead and do that. They do all the legwork. You don't have to. It's wonderful. Wonderful stuff. And of course, our website, tcr.gg, has everything else. Prong Attack in Twitch chat says hoods up. So look at right there. Prong, go to Alt. Get yourself some LA Gladiators. The merch looks good. The branding, not so much. But that's one of the powerful things about Alt, is they can make any low-tier CDL brand look like an S-tier. I don't even remember where we put LA, to be honest with you. I know it was low.
Low enough. It
was low. It was not anything to write home about. But I am Tim. I'm your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend, my dad friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
Lots changed in half a year, right?
Man, if you were to tell me 6 months ago where we would be at right now in esports, it would, I would be way off.
Like, the big news going into 2020 was Shroud and Ninja moving to Mixer.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what was like the crazy thing people were talking about 6 months ago going into the year, and that had to have been like top of the list, right?
And how times have changed.
Man, it really has. Let's get to some cleanups before we get too far ahead. Happy Canada Day to all our Canadian listeners. I don't know what is this their Independence
Well,
Day?
yeah, it's something special. A little piece of info you probably don't know about me and Tim is Tim and I play quite a bit of hockey. We're
This is
hockey
true.
guys. We grew up playing the sport and found a way to do so in 100-degree heat here in Texas. And
Well, I
so
originally
we
played in
have,
Detroit, so
yeah, whatever,
not
you got
as
it here.
difficult, but yes.
But here we are celebrating Canada Day. Shroud was the intro. Is there anything more fitting? Anything more Canadian than Shroud? I would say yes, a lot of stuff.
I was gonna
But
say, do you think?
I had no idea Shroud was Canadian until you told me about 12 minutes ago.
Do you think Canadians look at him and say, "Hey, you should have been, instead, you should have been the Canadian icon in esports," and instead we get XQC? Like, we could have had Shroud representing us, but no, we get XQC.
is bringing the heat lately. He's making it interesting.
Yeah. Kind of hurting the Canadian stereotype of all of them are nice, which they're not, by the way. That is a false stereotype. Take it from someone who's lived up north and been in Canada hundreds of times. There are nice people, but not all of them.
Not the ones that play hockey.
French Canadians, not nice.
Well, okay, anything tied to French, a little rough.
Not nice. But happy Canada Day, nonetheless, to all of our Canucks. Hopefully hockey comes back here soon. Though, can we break away for 2 seconds? I don't think we're seeing any sports this year. Like, even the ones that say they're coming back, like even like MLS, they sent all their players to Orlando, and now like half of FC Dallas is tested positive, even though they weren't positive when they went on the trip. I just feel like anytime they're going to push it, much like how we're not going to see any LAN events in 2020, we're not going to see any sports.
So I did hear a couple. So obviously the NBA is kicking off pretty soon. I'm curious to see how they handle it if one of the 20 teams that's there has like an outbreak on that team. What do you do?
I mean, they're out.
What's the
punishment.
contingency plan?
Your punishment is that team is out.
They're just done.
They're
for the
done.
year.
Like, you're taking L's the rest of the year.
I heard that the NFL is going to be potentially making fans sign waivers if they do games in a stadium.
I will sign the waivers. I'll sign them.
Though? Would you? Realistically, would you?
If I wasn't sitting next to people still, like if they were still if I was still 6 feet away from people, but in a stadium, look, bro, I will sign anything if it brings football back. I
just want football back.
I want you to close your eyes. All right, everyone close their eyes and think of a fall and a winter without football. It is
depressing.
It's hell. It's miserable.
It's depressing. I need basketball back because my Mavs are fire, and I love watching them. Need the NFL back.
I don't even care about NHL anymore.
I can live without baseball. I can live without MLS.
NHL screwed the Red Wings. Okay, Red Wings were in the first best spot to get the first draft pick, and then they rigged the lottery, so that sucked.
Didn't they end up at 4th or something?
Yeah. Oh, whatever. So we sucked all year for nothing, even though 4th should be still whatever. Yeah, you know what? The only thing that can make me excited for baseball is no other sports. This is why. So this is it. All right. So we're pulling back the curtains from esports for a second. All right. Because we're also dudes who like sports. The only reason baseball is exciting is because it's in the dog days of summer when there's nothing else going on.
They own like that 2-month period there, maybe 3 months, whatever it is. It's not even really that long because
I mean, as soon as training camp starts for football, baseball's dead to me.
Yeah, and like basketball now goes till June, so really baseball owns like a month in summer.
But for that 1 month,
you get.
It is glorious.
You know what? They're going to that 60-game season, I think, is what I heard. That's what it should be.
Yeah,
I don't need 160 plus games of baseball to tell me who the best. Give me like 50, 60 games. Let's call it a day. I know they want the money, but come on.
But now that every sport might be playing at the same time, if they get their shit together, baseball, I'm sorry, but you are going to be the first on my list that I will turn off if I have to go take care of the kid. Like, if the wife needs me to do something, it will be during the baseball game.
You know what, Tim? I feel very un-American saying this. I find baseball to be so boring.
I know.
Like,
that's
it
100%.
is just...
When I worked at the ticket, when I worked in sports radio, you never hated baseball more than when you had to go cover it for the station. Like, I was getting paid to watch baseball, and it was still the most miserable experience I ever had.
You did say they had some of the best food though at the events, right?
Hockey has really good food. The Stars treat them well. Football, obviously, because Jerry Jones, but the Mavs, not so much. Mavs, not so much. Yes, and Prong Attack in chat, the new Chargers uniform. Something esports is lacking. Good classic uniforms. Everything looks like an esports jersey in esports. We need to change that. We might not need the sweat wicking material to do that either. But man,
Isn't it ironic that the Chargers probably have some of the best uniforms, but yet they have no fans?
yeah, probably. You know, like I said, I'm ready for any sport. I'll take baseball. I'll take whatever. I like baseball. It's just the lowest on the list. That's it.
Hypothetical. Baseball's the only sport on for the next 6 months. How many games are you tuning into?
Well, I could tell you because that's pretty much like the summer, right? I mean, no joke. Out of 60, are we saying 60 games?
Yeah, let's say it's the only sport on from now till the end of the year.
I mean, probably only like 5.
That's a good amount.
And that's like
like the full game?
no, that's like in the background.
Okay.
Baseball's
Okay.
a great background sport.
You're taking care of Shep, you're trying to fall asleep,
Yeah,
and you turn it on.
It's on in the background. I'm folding laundry. I'm doing something. I couldn't sit down and watch a whole baseball game.
No.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Anyways, enough about sports.
Traditional sports.
Jocks, whatever. We're talking about esports. Another thing, speaking of esports, the esports awards, they tweeted out earlier today that time is running out to make your nominations for your favorite esports things in their categories. Not saying you got to put us up there, but it is running out. So if you feel like someone deserves a shout out, I know a lot of the more nooks and crannies, like the photographers and things like that, I know they appreciate it. So go ahead and do that.
Okay, hold on, Tim. Even if you don't like us, you, as a troll move, go vote for us.
Look,
okay?
I think this would be hilarious if we got the internet behind on this one, because I would love to see the look of everyone's faces when they see the center ring and we get the award. Like, when they're like, who? Who? The center what? And we're just like, hey, everyone.
And look, we were at the last award event. If we got nominated, I'm dressing the way I'm dressed right now.
Oh, fuck that, yeah. I'm not wearing a tux.
I'm gonna be me.
I'm not selling
going
out.
in black tie. No.
I'm not selling out. Nope, not doing it. So, and I am not clapping for anyone. They're all my enemies at this award show.
No fake claps.
You're all dead to me. All right, you're all dead to me. So there's that. Go ahead and nominate esports awards. So follow-ups from last episode, we talked a few about, everything with the whole Me Too and sexual assault allegations going on. Oddly enough, nothing directly related to sexual assaults that I've seen, finished anything. But we did mention Red Eye was called out for kind of being a bully and all that. Right?
A bad boss.
A bad boss,
much, yeah.
right? An aggressive boss, whatever. So he responded. And he is 100%. He pulled the "you can't fire me, I quit." So he's done. He's out of esports. Red Eye is no longer doing esports.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like that's kind of, for us, obviously, the biggest story to come out of it, because he's been such a staple within the esports community since the start of esports. Like Red Eye has been a staple within the community. I didn't really like his statement, though, to be honest. Like this is not me putting guilt on Red Eye or saying that he's innocent either, right? I don't know. I've never worked with the guy. But his statement, it takes some big balls to turn the suicide thing around on somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, if somebody just called you out and said that you made them suicidal, and then you turn it around and say, your words made me suicidal. Like, that takes some courage to do. I don't think resigning was the right move unless you're saying that a lot of what they said was true personally. That's how I looked at it, at least. Again, I don't know if he's guilty of all the accusations that were made against him, but I think it's not the best look. Like, you have paved the way for so many people in esports. If you're getting pushed a little bit, you push back. You know, now maybe he did that one too many times in real life, and that's why we're here. But again, I mean, it's unfortunate the way that his long, amazing career is come to an abrupt end.
And I know in his statement too, and the one thing I agree with is, like he said, everything was kind of all okay until you brought up kids, right? Until people started bringing up his kids and things like that. That's as a father, Anuj, okay? As a father, that is kind of like a no-fly zone. Like, I would have very little tolerance for that. I agree with him, but everything else, again, it for me, it didn't pertain to the situation as much, right? Like, I feel like you're just kind of throwing up your kids almost as like meat shields at that point, saying, my kids. And now everyone's like me, where I'm like, oh, well, okay, I'm backing off. But
and maybe this is like an age thing for him. But like, you got to kind of see your audience. Like, who are the people that are saying this shit to you?
Well,
they're
maybe
15,
that's why.
16-year-olds.
He's an older
like,
guy. So maybe he's just like, I'm done with this.
Nobodies that are saying this type of stuff.
I don't need to argue with a bunch of 15-year-olds on Twitter, which I don't blame him.
He could have ignored it and moved on with his business,
Anuj. Hold on. We know how esports works. You cannot ignore anything on Twitter. I think we're the only two people in esports that ignore shit on Twitter.
Because if anything, it just makes it fun sometimes, right? It's like, oh, okay, I'll go along with this here.
No one feels the need to respond to things as much as people in esports and Twitch life. Like the whole thing this week between XQC and Ninja and Alnity or whatever her name is, like all that was so avoidable in the sense, like if I was Ninja and I had deeper pockets than I knew what to do with, like I just got paid a fat ass check from Microsoft for Mixer failing. Like your company that you worked for went out of business and you got a fat check. Like how many times does that happen? If I was Ninja and I saw XQC say anything about me, I would be like, you're not even on my radar as far as things that I'm worried about responding to. And yet that turned into an entire day's worth of entertainment on our point. So I appreciate it, but we even see older guys in esports. I don't want to name any names. I don't want to put anyone in the spotlight, but his name rhymes with Sir Poots. Like he loves to respond to people, and it's just like, okay.
Or like a Mitchard Kuis.
It's like,
or Horan.
It's like I don't want to name any names, but it's just there's some people where you just kind of shake your head and you're like, guys, let's take a breather. All right. But c'est la vie to Red Eye. So there's that, and also a follow up on Dr. Disrespect. That's the follow up. That's it. Nothing has happened.
It's killing me.
Nothing.
It's absolutely killing me. I thought on the 29th we were going to hear something because that's kind of what the tease was. Absolutely brutal to have to wait this long to figure out what's going on there. I mean, Donald Trump has been banned on Twitch since this happened. Like there's been it's starting to fade away a little bit, and it's making me sad because like
I'm done
the
with
whole
it.
internet
It's faded away.
I mean, the whole internet sitting here waiting. We got to hear something soon. I really thought this episode, Tim, was not going to be a mid-year review. This was going to be the Doc episode. We were just going to talk about either him abusing somebody or he's starting his own company or whatever. Yeah, but nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Not a leak. Not a rumor.
How does that happen in esports where nobody can keep their mouth shut? We know about roster moves 6 months before they happen sometimes in esports, it feels like, and not a lick.
It's
about
incredible.
The biggest streamer being banned. So,
and that's really the real story.
Hopefully, we follow up next week on this.
Yeah. So hopefully something we find out. There was that Brim or Brime, I don't know how you'd say it. So that was the original rumor that there's this new streaming service called Brime, and that is where Ninja, Shroud, and Doc are going. That I am 100% convinced is complete bullshit. In fact, I'm pretty sure. Because they did like a Q&A on Monday, which was a complete joke. It looked like, I'm not even kidding you, like a third grader was writing the tweets out for him. They originally said, sorry, we had an issue with the account. Here's the real Q&A. What do you mean an issue with the account? And it's on your Twitter. Like you forgot the password or something? Like what do you mean? You had an issue with your account. So there was that. None of it made any sense.
No.
Someone said, hey, are you associated with Dr. Disrespect? And they said, we cannot confirm or deny that Dr. Disrespect will be moving to Brime, but we are not in negotiations with him. Well, then you just literally said he's not with you. Like, you think Dr. Disrespect's going to move over to your random-ass platform if you're not paying him? Like, that's not how those guys work anymore. They're not streaming on something that they're not getting paid for.
They just saw what happened to Ninja and Shroud.
And they
Everybody's
said,
going to try and secure the bag.
Yeah, and they said, like, oh, well, how many employees do you have? They said, we have 4. I'm like, whoa. This new streaming service that was supposed to have all these big dogs on it have 4 employees? No. And they were like, we wanted to start slow, and this is going a lot faster than we thought. And now, like, they opened up a Discord, but the Discord was more half-assed than ours, which is saying something, because I don't know shit when it comes to setting up a proper Discord. It's a joke. Now, and I feel bad for him, because if it is really 4 dudes, it really does seem like 4 high school kids that are just learning programming or some shit like that. And now this is blown up, and they're just caught up in the rumorville. And I don't necessarily blame them for taking. Hey, if you catch it, ride the wind, right? You gotta set it. But nah, I'm done with that. That's dead to me. They just got extremely lucky. In fact, I wish someone started the rumor that Doc was coming over to the Center Ring streaming platform and everyone followed our Twitter, because that would have been pretty sweet.
You know what? I also believe Slasher does not know.
No.
I'm going to throw that out there. I don't think he knows. I think he did it for impressions.
So here's my thing, too, because I, much like you were ready to talk about Dr. Disrespect, I was ready to bury Slasher this episode. I had my shovel. I had everything. I was ready to bury him. But now I'm convinced he doesn't know. And either way, it's a bad look for him. Okay? I want to get this out there on a recorded line before anything happens, because if it were an actual child abuse situation, which in my head, it's just that's like worst case situation, right? And Slasher used that to dangle as a carrot in front of everyone, a clout chase, like fucking mental. Like, that is so disgusting in my eyes to use that as like a dangling carrot to be like, ooh, I think I know something, but can't tell you, and everyone's thinking it. Or he's just clout chasing regardless, which is not above Slasher, and I think that's also ridiculous for someone of his nature to be doing that.
Because if it's anything but like some sort of abuse situation, and it's like not a quote unquote a big deal why he was banned, then his tweet looks stupid that way, right?
Yeah.
That, oh, you weren't willing to talk about this? Like, this is not a big deal. Like, why was this felt like such a personal story to you, you know? So again, all speculation. We're waiting to see what happens. We'll obviously talk about it as soon as it does, but unfortunately that will not be today.
No, sir. But you're in luck, because with our luck, it's either happening right now as we're recording and we're not looking at Twitter because we're professionals, or it's literally going to break 5 minutes after we post the episode, which
most likely
never fails. I mean, It is ridiculous. If I could go through every single episode and realize, like when we talked about Hiko possibly signing with 100 Thieves, no joke, like that night it was teased that he was signing with 100 Thieves. And I was like, wow.
We were like publishing the episode and the news came out. We're like, well, should we redo this?
Yeah,
it is pre-recorded.
I guess something's there is happening. So either way, so there's that. No news on Dr. Disrespect, but we'll update everyone. Other than that, I think that's kind of it. I didn't see any other huge big names getting accused of sexual assault or getting confirmed or anything like that. So I guess that's all somewhat died down a little bit for now. For now. You never know. You never know. All right, so let's get into it, though, as far as with the 2020 mid-year review. I don't know where you want to start. If you want to go in chronological order or just package them in by the game, we can take this a million different directions. I'll let you lead the charge.
We're going to go top down. I like chronological order. I think that for the most part, this is chronological order. There might be a couple of things here and there that are out of sync, but I think it'll make the most sense. And plus, that's how it's written on the sheet. So that'll help me too. And it's funny because I was going through like so many previous episodes, and Tim, I was doing homework for hours on this, putting this together. Okay, like I mean, I was slaving away today to try and just give us a proper outline to go off of. And it's funny because Overwatch League came up like 20 times. I'm like, wow, there was like a lot of Overwatch news. Now let me go through it and let's see if there was like some positives in the mix. I couldn't find one. I couldn't find one. And I want to start off with I think the biggest thing that kind of kicked off 2020 in terms of what we discussed at least was all the Overwatch talent exiting the scene. And we've seen how that spiraled, right? We didn't think that would have a massive effect on it, but now looking back, it's kind of all just trickled downhill from there. And that's starting with like DOA leaving, Monty leaving, Puckett leaving. You look at all these guys and kind of where they are right now. DOA, I think, is like freelancing, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah, he's doing his own thing.
Monty is tied to B side and doing all of that. What was with Cloud9 now. What did he just do?
I mean,
He
he's
just did
still
something
with
else.
Cloud9. He's doing their show and stuff. I don't know what capacity, but
But it was just like a rough start to the year for Overwatch League and something that hasn't ended. You're going to hear us bring up Overwatch a couple of times throughout this segment. And that was the first major departure, being the talent leaving. We'll get to the biggest departure later on. But just a tough start for the year for Overwatch League. And I'll tell you, Tim, when we come back and we do our end of year review, I kind of hate to say it, but I don't think the outlook is going to be much better. In fact, I think you know, we're just going to dive into more negatives as we get towards the end of the year.
I think, yeah, no, I guess we can leave it there, but I do agree with you. I think it's going to turn out to be, when it's all said and done, that Overwatch League took the biggest hit with COVID. As far as just, it was supposed to be their first year. I mean, remember going into this year, the excitement that surrounded the whole league. We even went to the home opener for the Dallas Fuel, and we were like, this is incredible. It's starting. We're finally getting to see how a city-based franchise is going to work with home and away games. And man, this is kicking off a new era for esports. And I think with Corona, it beat it up. They didn't have a plan B. They didn't. So we'll talk about that later. But it's funny because on the flip side, you have Overwatch League. Well, right across the hall, there's their brother with the CDL kicking off. And that was another, like, just kind of wave of emotion going on, especially here on the show, where we were excited. Me and you kind of favor the franchise model, at least as far as just being a interesting talking point. But I knew a lot of people were upset. Like, where Overwatch League, when that started, I think a lot of people were excited because it was just different. Where with CDL, man, you were kind of starting behind the finish line at that point. You weren't getting a running start like you would think.
You were taking a mature game and then trying to reinvent the wheel, right? You were taking something that's been around for 10 plus years and shift the way we watch Call of Duty. Now, what I will say to this is I think this was the right move. I've enjoyed this Call of Duty season, not the game, but I've enjoyed the weekly tournaments that we've seen, the storyline buildups that you see, not having to worry about these stupid qualifiers to accumulate points and who's making it in that way and making a run through what felt like an amateur bracket just to make it in. I enjoy the league aspect for Call of Duty. So for me, CDL has been a winner. The franchising aspect of it.
Yeah.
What I think they would like to change if they could is I think they wish it wasn't this game was the inaugural season, because the game has been as a whole to me a shit show. It's just too many inconsistencies. Not what we would be accustomed to playing as like a old-fashioned Call of Duty player.
You
right?
almost get that vibe too from the devs. Like, I'm starting to get that vibe with the lack of attention on the league. Because, I mean, we said it for the longest time, and keep in mind, I have not opened the game in like 3 weeks, so maybe this has changed, but I highly doubt it. There has never once been a tab in the game for the league. can you imagine, like, most games that have an esport have a section in the game that would do that. So you would think that they would, for Call of Duty, I mean, it's not a new esports scene. They've been around forever, and they've even had other games in the past. Like World War II had a whole section, like in their little player lobby. Remember World War II, you like walked around? They had a whole section where you could go and watch the matches. It almost seems like the devs know that they kind of shit the bed on this one, and they just aren't wanting to advertise it because they don't want that much attention their first year. That's my only way of it, like, reasoning on why
there's
they
no
don't care.
reasoning. That doesn't even make sense. Like, why would you do that, right? Even now, seeing the bundles that have come into the game now, it's like, dude, we're a few months away from the new Call of Duty releasing. You think I'm going to spend $20 for player stickers that don't carry over? I love the idea. I love what they did, but that should have been a day one implementation, just like ranked play should have. Just like the way that they should have supported like the team bundles from the very beginning. None of that was done early enough, and even now, just kind of seeing them throw it out there, I'm like, damn, these guys could have made some bank if they put this stuff out early on. So financially, it was a bad move. Supporting your league, it was improperly done. Like, just so many negatives to the way that they've handled the launch. Again, I think their saving grace is that the franchising model looks good in Call of Duty. The way that they set it up, you've seen Overwatch League kind of mimic or copycat a little bit of what CDL is doing and accomplishing right now. So overall, there's still a lot of like pluses for the league. Way it was handled, Activision, Infinity Ward, whoever the blame goes on, poorly managed, and that's kind of the best I can say about that.
I think it's Infinity Ward because, like I said, with other games, you do see more attention to detail when it comes to the competitive side. That being said, like Activision, I think also has to fall on the grenade on that one because this is your thing. Like, it's kind of your job to make sure if anything, all the developers are at least on the same page when it comes to how you're going to promote the league. You can't have 1 year where the developer is so into it and they're promoting it and everything, and the next year they're not doing it at all. Like, that's just not how you run a professional league that costs, millions of dollars to get in. So
if anything, Activision should be able to dictate how they do it, right? Because when you're one of a few developers that's getting to make this game on a semi-annual basis, you should have to like put your best foot forward, because just like Sledgehammer, they could kick you out and you could be out of the rotation for them. So again, the blame falls on both of them equally. Infinity Ward just being slow to everything, and Activision not managing the process. Like, I would give them both a thumbs down for how they've managed a multi-million-dollar operation. It feels like the 4 people running Brime are the ones that are making the decisions here for the CDL. And so again, like I said, their one positive is the format works. It looks good. It
the league
plays
works.
well.
The league is fun
works.
itself. It's just everything behind the scenes. And even, I mean, we can just talk about it. If you want to knock out everything Call of Duty, I think we just do it at this point, because even within behind the closed doors, you have all the gentleman agreements that are going on, and then eventually, Warzone kicks off, and that's kind of just trumped and overshadowed everything about the game to begin with, and that's kind of been their only focus.
It's taken the spotlight. Fortunately for them, it's taken the spotlight a little bit away from the disaster of the multiplayer. Again, we're still waiting on like ranked CDL playlists and stuff like that. Like, that's not in the game. Thankfully, Warzone's been fun enough to majority of people to where they don't really care about multiplayer. And so, hey, if that's what you want to hang your hat on, great. I mean, that's not something to be proud of. You made a BR game that is popular today. Well, new Call of Duty comes out. I promise you guys, it's not gonna sustain. Try and get into the BR for what was it? Black Ops 4?
Yeah.
That you and I tried to get in. We tried to get into a Black Ops 4 BR lobby on PC, mind you.
Before Modern Warfare came out.
Yeah, because we were craving a BR at that point, right? We were so hyped for Warzone to come out. We couldn't find a damn lobby. So you tell me when the next game comes out, it's the new and fresh game. The pros are playing it. The pros are streaming it. They release their version or iteration of a BR. Who's gonna stick around? Nobody. It's gonna be dead. So great. If you want to hang your hat on this and you have a great BR feature to your game, wonderful. But you neglected to fix the issues in multiplayer, and to me, that's unforgivable for a game that's launching, like I said, a multi-million-dollar franchise operation.
And then after you had the Call of Duty League kickoff, it's kind of crazy to think how young this game is. But do you remember the game called Project A? Like, can you believe that in this year we have heard rumors, we've seen it, and now it's fully out as Valorant? Like, I can remember hearing Project A for the first time, and because it was during like their 10-year shebang, right? It's kind of when they were announcing everything. Riot, that is. And just thinking, like, Riot is making an FPS. This is going to be huge. I mean, you're talking about a brand that already knows how to make a successful esports. They are known and worshipped, for the most part, worldwide as far as what they've been able to do with the League of Legends. They know the formula on what will work. So to see an FPS come from Riot, I mean, I know at least for you and I, like the excitement level or at least the interest level couldn't have been higher.
Oh, dude, I was all over. I was wanting to make it a staple on this show to pretty much talk about it every episode because all I could do was think about Project A at the time, which, by the way, I still like the name Project A better than I like Valorant. I don't know if that's just me.
No,
I've
never liked Valorant. Never liked Valorant.
No, I mean that was an amazing time for the game to come out because the world was just starting to kind of go into disaster mode. I think we needed something to move our attention over. This has created so much drama within the esports scene, right? Not just within Valorant, but it has affected the ecosystem of all FPS within esports. And so Valorant is probably one of the biggest stories, if not the biggest story, to come out of the first half of 2020 because it's very difficult in this day and age to enter the esports scene and be competitive with the big boys right off the bat. Like usually there is a natural growth that comes along with this. This was like force fed to us, right? Yeah. Like, hey, this is the next big esport. You have to play it. You're going to play it.
And I do think because we still hear it where people are looking at the viewership numbers for Valorant now and saying, "Oh, they're pretty down." Like even on their tournaments, you're looking at a game that is still, for the most part, only being played in NA when it comes to esports wise. Like EU, you're starting to see like G2 and EU teams signing players and things like that. You're going to start seeing Asian teams and Oceanic teams and things like that get into the mix. Well, that's when the party's going to start. Like right now, we're only seeing NA tournaments, and they're still getting 60, 80,000 views. You guys got to remember, this is a brand new game. Like, you're looking at a game that's fresh, and although starting a little ahead, given that it is Riot backing them and everything like that, I get that. But like Anuj said, like the fact that they are keeping up with games like Counter-Strike and things like that, I think it does bode well. Now, I understand it's not for everyone. I get that, but neither is Counter-Strike, right? Like a lot of people like to say, like, well, it's just a clone. What game isn't a clone nowadays?
Nobody's making anything original. Let's be clear there. No one is coming out with anything.
I don't know.
Incredibly
Did you see
original.
Ubisoft is making a BR game, and it's going to completely rework how you think of BR.
Twitch integration, great.
Whoa.
Like, suck it. Like I don't care about that at all. No, for me, I think what's huge to note here is Valorant is doing well in a half-assed esports ecosystem right now. They're all like celebrity-based tournaments that you're watching. I say celebrity-based, like they're org-sponsored tournaments for the most part. You're not seeing any sort of league format. You're not seeing any LAN events. You're not seeing EU versus NA versus Asia versus Oceanic. Like there is none of that happening, and it's doing okay, right? Like it's doing okay. I don't think you're going to see Valorant peak until the league system is set up. So they just need to maintain. They've announced that they're going to be coming out with 6 agents a year, I believe is what it is. Riot's not going to come in here and create their own league or franchising system for at least a year, maybe two. So that's when I will judge the success or failures of Valorant. But by all means, I think it's doing fantastic. It's got decent viewership and there's no real structure. Like it's just random one off. It's like watching a celebrity Warzone tournament. That's how I look at the Valorant tournaments right now. They're like celebrity Warzone tournaments. They don't mean shit. Like they're just another tournament.
Well, and a lot of
That's
these
it.
teams are trying out rosters. Like FaZe was in this last one. They only signed 2 people. The
Yeah.
other 3 guys are tryouts. So take everything with a grain of salt at this point. Like I said, maybe we're being too forgiving because we're softies when it comes to new games and FPS games especially. But I don't know.
But
For
it's
me,
not like you and I are sitting here grinding out Valorant. It's
no.
not like we're some Valorant like lovers in the sense of, oh, that's all we play. I haven't really touched the game since it's actually been live. I don't even have a rank in the game. I haven't played enough games to accumulate a rank yet. So I'm not sitting here talking about a game that I am 100% dedicated to. I'm talking about the prospect of this game being huge one day, which I think it will be. It's going through growing pains during the largest pandemic we've seen in 100 years, so give it time. It's going to be okay. I think they've had a successful launch. I think the hype has died down, but it was going to, like, it was too high when it came out. There was too much hype behind it. People are still playing, numbers are still great, viewership is good to average at best. It'll be okay. Let a
Yeah.
league start and then let's talk. If the numbers are the same after a Riot sponsored franchise league and you have 30, 40,000 viewers, okay, probably be a little bit concerned, but I'm not right now.
No. So there is that. Do you want to get into the rest for Valorant now, or do we want to kind of go through the timeline?
Let's go through the timeline.
Okay, because I was going to say there's some big stuff for Valorant, but I agree. So that was like Valorant being announced early on into the year. Okay, now we're starting to get, because you got to remember, Counter-Strike's a little slow at the start, right? So we really, you don't see Counter-Strike start peeking its head out until around like February-ish. Well, news broke that NIP was disbanding. A legendary Counter-Strike team in NIP. Get Right retiring, right? All this mess going on around them. And then shortly after, though, they ended up re-signing. The boys got back together with Dignitas, which mixed reviews, right? I think everyone at the time...
We can say retirement still.
It's kind of like the Old Man Gamer Club, whatever they play.
It's like Backstreet Boys coming back and performing in Vegas. Like the only people that are going to see them are the ones that listened to them 15 years ago,
Like,
right?
you think,
it's not like a new crowd coming in.
You think your kid's gonna watch Dignitas and be like, "Dad, why were you a fan of these guys? Like they suck."
Yeah. They might still be around
At that point. So
that was big news, though. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, like if you remember when Get Right was originally being taken off the roster, remember those uncomfortable moments that they had of like retirement speeches and
so
like
awkward.
the farewells, and he was like, "Wait a minute, I'm not retiring. I'm just not going to be active on this roster anymore." And we thought that would be some of the biggest news of the year. It's like, holy shit, like NIP not together anymore. Like that's huge in the Counter-Strike world. That turned out to be like a small little dot on the globe in terms of what happened, essentially what we're getting into next, which for me was still one of the most exciting things that I could follow on Twitter, and that was ESL versus B-Site. Tim, if you remember when that drama was going on, we were glued to Twitter.
I mean, it probably was like 4 or 5 episodes straight where we could fill in an entire segment of just ESL versus B-Site beef.
It could have been like that. We could have renamed a segment of the show to Thorn's Tweets. Like that really could have been like
Still
Thorn
not a bad
says.
idea.
It might not be, and that led to like a lot of heated debate within the scene. Whether this was like a good move, right? ESL versus B-Site or Flashpoint, whatever. I still couldn't tell you if this is a success because for the same reasons I can't tell you if Valorant's going to be a hugely successful esport. It's hard to determine really if these leagues are working out because of this awkward split that we're seeing, right? Nobody cares about it right now with NA being split off from EU. For me, that intrigue, that drama comes from me being like a countryman, right? Like I want NA to beat EU so bad because I want to have those bragging rights, rare, albeit, right? But I wanted to have that opportunity for evil geniuses or
Yeah.
liquid to kind of step up and take the throne away. Well, we're not getting that right now. I can tell you, I do think Flashpoint is going to have a tough time overcoming their early difficulties because I don't see that being a league. It's hard to like find them overly respectable just because of the talent that's in that league. Like when the best talent in your league is the commentary talent, that's probably not a good thing. Right now, there's big names. Don't get me wrong, like Envy, huge organization, Cloud9,
Yeah.
MIBR. Like these teams have to rebound, break into the top 20, be consistently good for Flashpoint to be successful. I don't blame this on Flashpoint in the sense of why the competition's bad. Like it's not fun to watch. And so I know ESL is the winner when it comes to that, but I don't know in terms of the ecosystem, was this a good move overall?
Well, remember too, like when Flashpoint first kind of laid down its manifesto, and it was so unlike anything that we've ever seen, where the orgs or the teams were having a lot of say as far as like how the league was ran and everything like that. You did have that, and then where we saw like the punishment system, right? They came in with such confidence, I'll say, where they said, look, we're going to have the best teams in this league. Our teams are going to be so good that if you're outside of the top 20, we have the right to fine you. Well, then by the end of the day, they only had like what? One team in the top 20. So
And it was like Mad Lions.
yeah, like the one team that you didn't think would be in the top 20 ends up in the top 20. So I just think like with all that, they came in so like puffing their chest so strong that I think it turned off a lot of people, especially when ESL for the most part kind of just sat there and did their own thing, ignored Flashpoint, got all the best teams, and meanwhile Thorin is just unraveling. He was unraveling in front of everyone's eyes on Twitter about the whole thing. So
It was
incredible.
Really like he made it worse for Flashpoint, right? He was one of the biggest names involved in Flashpoint, but he had a mental breakdown when it came to this whole situation. Just the hate that he spewed towards Astralis when they made the move. I wouldn't be surprised because of the way he spoke about Astralis that maybe other teams that were considering Flashpoint were like, oh shit,
100%.
like
Look,
do I really want to be involved with this?
look, on Twitter, I think a lot of people play nice on esports. In esports on Twitter, everyone plays nice for the most part. But I think behind closed doors, like you can't deny, like if you're an owner and like you have a choice to go to a league that isn't ran by Thorn, but Thorn has definitely made it a point that he's not a spokesperson, but speaks for the league all the time, right? He kind of plays both sides of the field there. If you're an owner of that, I mean, that would go into my decision, right? Do I want to join a league where I have the best teams in the world with a brand that I have worked with in the past? Or do I want to go with this league where this guy is destroying and scorch earthing anyone that speaks against them?
Look, Tim, with Twitter, it's all fake. Okay? It's all fake. The talk on Twitter, and this is gonna go, I'm gonna go into a 30-second rant here, so just let me do this.
It's the salt mine. The salt mine is yours.
I'm going into the salt mine right now. Everything is fake on Twitter that you guys see. I promise you. Look at the way they treated some people spoke about Red Eye before the allegations and then after he stepped away, right? Like all of a sudden, all these stories started popping up when these people only spoke highly of him on Twitter to begin with. Look at Video Game Attorney, right? Everybody at least faked to be buddy buddy with him on Twitter. Like there would be some arguments back and forth, but for the most part, everybody was tried to be all like buddy up because he was of relevance within the scene. The second the allegations came out and they let him go, everybody started talking shit about him. If you want to hear the truth, you come and listen to the center ring. Okay. Tim and I, we will be your friend if you're a good person, right? If you're a good dude, guy or girl,
Or you donate.
or you donate, right? Or you sponsor. But
Sponsoring too.
we're gonna give it to you real. Like I'm 35 years old. I don't have the time to fake to be your freaking best friend.
No.
Okay. That's just not the world I live in. And so what you see on Twitter, just know half of that is bullshit. Like it's just everybody kind of circle jerking each other off, or finger banging, whatever. I'm not trying to be sexist here or anything. Just saying, like it's
Respectful.
just not what you see on Twitter is not how it actually is, and it's unfortunate that like people are not a little bit more real about the situation. Even this Thorn stuff, I could tell you, dude, a lot of people that were reading that behind the scenes were probably talking so much shit about the stuff that he was saying, but they'll never say it to him. Like, and Thorn's not like I don't think he's a bad dude. I think this history of the game is freaking impeccable. He knows more about Counter-Strike than 99.9% of the people on planet Earth, right? The way he perceives himself on Twitter is also a personality, though. He's like a Skip Bayless, a Stephen A. Smith. He's going to say controversial stuff. I'm sure half of that was just like we talked about Slasher trying to fetch impressions. He was probably doing it too. But this whole like fake buddy buddy system on there, nonsense to me. It's all nonsense.
Yeah. So there's that. And meanwhile, going on in the background of that, we come back to the Overwatch League because you got to keep in mind, this is where COVID has kind of started peeking its head around the corner just a little bit. We kind of saw, I think the first event we saw was Katowice for Counter-Strike, where originally that the crowds are going to be there. Okay. And then it was like the day before Poland said, no crowds. And I remember we talked on the show, and in my head, I was like, if this is the worst that happens with Corona, no big deal. Few events with no fans, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks. What's the worst that can happen? And of course, fast forward to now, and we all know the story. But so that's kind of where we first saw Corona take a hit towards esports, because we were talking about how is ESL going to recover? Because that's so much revenue being lost from all this and everything there. Well, then, I think that's really it, because then it started kind of
the Katowice thing was big, right? Like the Katowice thing, like you said, really, we started to learn how serious Corona could be over here, right? Because that was happening in Europe. It really hadn't affected us on a day-to-day basis over here.
Yeah.
But like to see, I think one of the spitting images of the first half of 2020 for me, Tim, is Pasha sitting in that stadium by himself, right? And that's an image that'll stick out to me, I think, forever, in terms of like how I think about esports within 2020, is like him just sitting there alone in the stadium, watching that LAN still take place. And it's crazy how it's just spiraled.
Doesn't it make you miss LAN events? I will take 1,000 fanless LAN events compared to one of these online. And I'm not saying the online tournaments don't mean anything in skill, but the split up events are killing me. Like you said, I can only see EG versus Liquid so many times. I need a mix up. I need EU versus NA. I need these teams to play each other. I can't keep watching two different leagues of the same tournament. It's driving me nuts.
I think that's why CDL has also found success, right? Because although they do have European teams, right, in terms of London Ravens and these guys, like, they're able to all play each other. And so what you're getting in terms of that league, as I feel satisfied as a viewer, knowing at least all the best players are competing against each other, online or not, they're all dealing with the same circumstances there, right? And so to me, that's a big difference in why CDL has found success throughout the year compared to some of the other esports where you said like Counter-Strike's kind of the biggest one that I could think of where it really affects us to have it split. So I agree with you. I would take fanless events for the rest of the year just to see these teams compete, although we know that's an unrealistic option, like no one's traveling and all that. But yeah, I 100% agree. I would take 1,000 fanless events to see LAN again.
And then you had the nut drop heard around the world when Jason Lake whipped it out and put it on the table for everyone to measure, when he made his statement, basically calling out everyone on his old roster that they suck and said, yo, I got Jerry Jones money. You slide into my DMs. We're going to make a winning team. We all laughed at him. We all took shots. We all had the memes. He took it well, right? As Jason Lake normally does. Hasn't completely backed it up. They did win. What was it? What they just win? Blast? Did they win Blast? So you backed it up for one event. But yeah, I think it's a good story nonetheless. It's a feel-good story. They are, here's the thing. They are 1,000 times better than what they were. So I guess in that sense, it's a success.
So I want to read the tweet so people know what we're talking about. But he said, I love our players as individuals, but these results won't be tolerated. If you're a tier 1 player looking for a fresh start at the best facility in the world, hit me up. I'll pay your buyout. I'll give you the world's highest salaries. Let's build a juggernaut, spread the word. And so, yeah, it was like a mic drop type tweet, right? Like it was a tweet that was out there. You knew he was going to be held accountable for those words, right? Because it puts your current players in a bad situation. But I disagree with you. I think it's 100% worked out. Like to win a tier 1 event in CSGO, and there's very few of them, right? You're talking about the major ESL events, the majors, DreamHack Masters, and it's kind of it for the most part. So I think to win one of those for a team that hadn't won in a long time, Tim, like they have never really been successful in CSGO. I think that's huge. And I think that puts you as a contender, regardless of the tournaments, for the rest of the year. They have to still perform well for it to like really fall true. But getting a staple win is something Complexity had no chance of doing, for the last 5 years. So I think this has made them one of the best teams in the world. To say if the only baseline was, are they the best team in the world? Then yeah, it's going to be looked at as a failure. But are they one of the best teams? I think you could put them in that contention now.
We'll see. We'll see. They're good. Like I said, they're better than what they were. I'm still not jumping on the bandwagon just yet, but they are better than what they were. I mean, I can't deny that.
I got to make the major for this conversation to even be relevant again. So
if the major happens, I mean, that's another thing. The major changes that have happened. We went from having 2 majors this year to 1 major, and now we might get a major online, or we might not get the major at all because now the only major we're going to get is in Brazil. Well, Brazil is like the worst when it comes to Corona because they did absolutely nothing at the start. From what I hear, the place is just kind of gone to hell in general. So now we might not get to that at all. So that's going to be weird if Valve is like, look, you're too unsafe to send people to you, but we're still going to call it the Rio Major. Like, I feel at this point, because again, if you're going to do that, they're going to have like, 2 major winners? You're going to have an NA major and an EU major? Well, I don't want that. I don't need an NA team winning, saying they have a major victory by just going through NA teams.
Yeah.
They all can't be like Cloud9 and defeat the number 1 team in the world in FaZe. They all can't do that. But I would rather have, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I would rather have no major than an online major.
Only if they can, it's not possible really, but only if they can figure out a way to make everyone compete against each other.
But it's not happening.
It's not happening. So yeah, I would not want to see like some sort of split major of an NA champion and an EU champion.
With all the billionaire princes in Dubai that donate to all these Counter-Strike streamers, whatever happened to those guys? Do you remember that when like the Dubai princes would donate?
Yeah, it was that Motor 2K guy.
Yeah. Whatever happened to this guy? Like, can't he like go make an island just to send these pros to? Like, come on. Why don't we have a LAN island where we just send all of esports to and they just play?
Just compete.
Like, I don't understand why this hasn't been even talked about.
They made a couple of man-made islands. They could probably use one of the ones
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Dubai. That's the place to be. I haven't heard shit about Dubai and Corona.
They're all fine over there.
Like, It's so much money and gold there. Corona's like, no, I can't go there. Can't handle that. So there's that. What else happened here? I want to save these two kind of game discussions for later, for the games that kind of busted so far this year.
Let's go here.
All right, we'll do a quick shout out for here, because in Rainbow Six, we did have, I think, a very underrated, maybe at the end of the year, it won't be. Maybe when we do our award show, this will definitely make an appearance for top feel-good story of esports so far. And I think
One
we
of
have
the last big LAN tournaments we had for any esport.
Very true. And we're talking about Space Station Gaming winning the Rainbow Six Invitational. Now, we're a little close to them because obviously at Austin DreamHack, they won the BYOC tournament. And now to see them compete, win the Invitational as underdogs, right? It's just, I remember watching that. We have the one Space Station Gaming fan is also our listener. So that kind of is cool that we have someone that's a hardcore Space
There's like so
Station
many
fan.
different ties, right? Also being tied to like Ultimate, right? Where you should be getting your merch from if you're not, but like being tied to Ultimate's also kind of cool. It was definitely a feel good story. That was also the tournament that like Shaiko came back for after his like long ban that they had, and seeing what TSM was going to do. So it was definitely a good event. Like it lived up to the hype. So that was fun.
Yeah. I thought that was a really cool experience to watch, especially like not being like you were a fan of Space Station. Like I think everyone was a fan of Space Station Gaming for those finals. So it was kind of cool. And like you said, it was one of the last bigger LAN events that I can remember before everything really shut down. So there's that. Let's bring it back to Overwatch just for a moment, because as we said, it's been a weird year for them. Not a lot of high points. So I think this was an attempt to make a high point, and maybe for Overwatch League fans, for maybe some of them it was. But when Houston Outlaws decided to retire Jake's jersey, I still feel like that was one of the bigger yikes of the year so far, because it made no sense.
Definitely going to be a contender. Like definitely going to be a contender at the end of the year on the award show. Like it was weird because it was for two reasons. Obviously, they were not a successful team during his tenure with them.
No.
And then
he was not
his
that
limited,
successful.
Yeah, in his like limited time with the team. Like the Hall of Fame type awards are given out to people that have put in years in the game on a, it doesn't have to be with the same team, just at least like years worth of work. And it was what, 2 years? And
well,
like
two,
one of them
but
he
then
didn't
like
even
he
really
didn't
play.
Yeah, he didn't play for like 3 stages last year, and very uncomfortable. Like not uncomfortable.
Ambassador for the sport. He did a lot for the sport in the 2 years he was
the
there.
one thing he accomplished, Anuj, and let's be real, let's call it what it is. He was a pretty face.
Yeah,
he was a pretty face.
He was a pretty face for the league,
yes,
for sure.
At the start of it all, he was a pretty face that had some charisma and could put a sentence together. So when they had to send people out to talk shows, he was the guy, right?
Yeah.
He was their poster boy. So I think that's why he had a lot of fan favorites behind him, because just at the beginning when you looked, Jake was, oh, look, it's Jake talking again. He's the Overwatch League. But still, to retire a number, to retire his jersey.
I'm going to ask you a random question. Who is the face of the league today?
I don't even know. I mean, I have paid such little attention to Overwatch League this year. Let me just go to their website now that you're making this question. Because the league, the league is truly split this year. Like how with Corona and everything, they weren't able to do what CDL did, where they tell their players to stay here.
Like if I had to pick somebody, I would say Space, personally.
Yeah. But Cold in Twitch chat made a perfect point, and he is 100% correct. It's Zoe.
Oh yeah,
the caster.
That's actually true. That's crazy.
She is their marketing tool. She is on everywhere you look. And yes, now that I think about it, he's 100% correct. It's definitely her. Which again, I don't know. It's kind of sad that a caster. She's not even a caster. She's the desk host now. Is going to be your poster. But hey, not a bad poser to look at. If you know what
No,
I'm saying?
and she is amazing, right? Like
If
she's
you know
amazing
what
in
I'm
what she
saying.
does, and I would definitely agree with Cold there. But yeah, like that shouldn't be the case. Like it needs to be a player.
Yeah.
So as great as
Again,
she
I
is,
I
that's
feel
not a
bad for Overwatch League because I know a lot of the people that still work there, and we know people at Blizzard. They truly do care about the league. They do care about the game. But I mean, talk about just I mean,
they
you drew the
really
short
care
straw
about the
every
game.
time.
Their vision of the game has been different than what I think people would want the game to be, and that's the problem.
Yes, I mean when you roll out update after update and format change after format change and hero pools and no hero pools and we're going to do a little hero pool here but not for the pros. It was all over the place all year long. I don't think people who actually enjoyed playing the game ever really got a feel for it, right? And then even then, if you don't play the game anymore and you just want to follow the pro scene, that was even a headache to deal with because you were like, hold on, what are the heroes this week? Are they doing the hero pool or are they not doing a hero pool? I felt like there was, I think I said this earlier, no plan B for if things went wrong with the home and away games. Like they
Yeah.
had no contingency plan to think if things didn't work out. So I think that was just the first domino to fall in a lot of just tough decisions to make. Unfortunately, it just seemed like they could never just make a decision. I don't even care. I don't even care if you make the wrong decision. Just pick one and let it run.
Because of their geography, COVID hit them worse than I think any esport, right? Like
Well, because the
nobody is split up
players
with
wanted to
they're
go home.
everywhere. Yeah, everybody wanted to go home, right? So like when everyone split up across the globe, unlike CS where it's like just really NA, SA, and then EU, with a little bit obviously of just Navi kind of being the outlier there. Overwatch League is kind of screwed when it comes to that. Like even if they
Yeah.
had a plan B, you would still be getting a very similar product, I think, to what you're getting right now.
Well, no knock on the players, but the players wanted to go home. Like you
Yeah,
have players from around the world in the CDL. Like you have guys from London in the CDL, but they knew that they had to be here to compete. So that's what they did. With Overwatch, that wasn't the case. The Korean player said, no, we want to go home to Korea. We want to be near our family throughout all this. And I mean, what do you turn into a
so
Vancouver
it
Titans
was the right
situation.
decision. We're spiking with COVID right now. Korea is like long done with the issue, so they might have not made the wrong decision there.
No, because then you end up a situation like Vancouver Titans where, I mean, again, you want to just talk about another mark on the league this year. And we're only halfway through. Like, the fact that you had an entire team, and, I don't even think if it was just like ripping off the Band Aid Anuj, and you just opened up Twitter one day and said, hey, Vancouver Titans disband. The Korean players wanted to go home. The team wanted them to stay, so they agreed to go separate ways for the betterment of the players. I think it would have been a story, but it would have been like, hey, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's the right thing to do. But the fact that it was rumored for so long, and then you saw the players remove the Titans from their Twitter profile and then add them back, and then they went home and then came back and then went home, and then it kind of even crumbled even more when you realized the conditions that the players were living in. Just a real
fired
shit
the
show.
GM. Like it was just a
Yeah.
shit show. So yeah, I mean, for your second place team in the league to disband more than halfway with like half of the year remaining, again, it's just unfortunately it sounds like we're haters. Like that's the only way you can say it though. Like that's what it is.
I
Like
mean,
that's what's
realistically,
happening right
that's
now.
just this half of it. It's just
Yeah.
it's 2020 so far. I mean, there's really not a whole lot of uh overly positive moments, I think. You can obviously look for them, but not in the Overwatch League at the moment. I guess the positive thing in the Overwatch League is that it's still going.
Yeah, I think our next one is going to be one of the bigger positives of the year. One of the ones that at least gets me the most excited, and that is in two aspects here. A lot of these pros that have moved over to Valorant recently, we've seen so many big names here, but we've seen some great stories, right? And I think the biggest one is the redemption story for Brax and AZK. You talk about beloved players by almost all communities within esports, right? Like you see everybody supporting Brax. AZK has played obviously CS, he's played Overwatch, like he's been around as well. So a lot of fans in different areas. But to see these guys be able to compete again, along with all the other big name pros from other leagues that have moved over, that's been exciting to me. That's sped up the pace, I think, a little bit of like competitive Valorant to have names that we can relate to right away and then stories we can root for from day one. Like how bad do you want to see AZK and Brax lift a trophy again? Like I think that would be an amazing thing.
Yeah, I think you also just see players that never really had a chance in CS. And I think of more like the guys like friend of the show Drone, right? He started at a time where it's just difficult to climb the rankings in CS at this point, right? There's been a lot of established players and personalities and teams in the scene. It's not impossible, right? We've seen guys like Stewie and
Rops and all that.
Rops. I mean, hell, you could maybe even throw Simple in there, right? As new, younger kids getting into the scene and doing very well. But they're few and far between, and you almost have to be a Rops in order to get a chance on a top-tier team. So I think it's one of the storylines there with Valorant. It's like, it's just good to see that these guys that probably would have gotten stuck in tier 2 hell for CS is getting a chance to play tier 1 Valorant. And that's not to say that, maybe when it's all said and done, they're tier 2 Valorant and they're just a tier 2 player. Maybe. But as of right now, TSM is like the best team in Valorant. And look at the guys on that roster. I mean, those are all what people would consider washed up or has-beens for CS.
Yeah, or like it's people that just never made it ultimately,
Yeah.
right? They just never made it. And so you look at a guy like Subrosa. He was like shitted on in the CS scene for a long time because he had that small joke of a stint with Cloud9. Then he had like some cheating accusations that fell on him, which turned out to be like BS. Funny, we're talking about something similar again. But it's crazy because he's considered one of the best players in the game right now. And that's cool. Like it's cool to me to have names that we're familiar with because it draws me in a little bit more. And again, I don't think there's anything bigger than what we've seen with the T1 lineup. Like even Skadoodle coming out of retirement, to play this game. That's huge. You talk about a fan base, like he was a Cloud9 beloved player for years, brought them a championship. You don't think all those fans have any interest, even if they're not big Valorant fans, have any rooting interest in there for Skadoodle? Like, they did it right. Like T1, I think, hit the jackpot with signing these three guys.
Yeah, it's definitely huge, and that's just like I said. We're just getting started with EU. We're seeing Mixwell was signed to G2, another incredibly, I think, feel-good story. I feel like no other player has gotten the short end of the stick as much as Mixwell, to no real fault of his own. It's just for a while there, he tried playing in NA, but he really just wanted to be home in EU, so that was just, it is what it is.
The optic stuff blew up on him.
Yeah, it's just things just never worked out. Like he was always just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it just never was able to where he could get both feet on the ground for a little bit. So it's good to see a lot of these guys get a chance now with Valorant. So there's that. Now, Joe, as happy as it is when people move over to Valorant, on the flip side of that, where these guys are leaving, not always the case. Because one last thing for Overwatch League, possibly the biggest move of 2020, I don't even see how a bigger move could happen, is Sinatra leaving the Overwatch League to sign with Sentinels. Like, that to me will probably be, for the year, the biggest move, like roster move in esports for the year. You were talking about, how we were just talking about with the poster boy for the Overwatch League. After he was the MVP, he won the World Cup, he won the league, he went on the talk show circuit, right? I honestly, because we even talked about on the show, oh man, could you imagine if Sinatra left? Man, that would be awful for the Overwatch League. Jokingly, we didn't hear rumors, we didn't hear anything. We just are esports geniuses that we were like, hey, let's talk about what if Sinatra leaves. And we said that would pretty much be the nail in the coffin for the Overwatch League as far as public perception goes. And I think we were right, because when that happened, it was like, yikes.
Dude, that was a killer blow. That was actually a knockout punch for Overwatch League for this year, because all the negativity that had been going on around there, at least you still had a star player, right? You still had that star of the league. And for him to walk away mid-season, Tim, he didn't even finish out the year with them, and he's competing in another game. Like, it's not like he just quit to like, hey, I'm burnt out, I can't do it anymore, I don't have the fire, whatever. No, it's just I don't want to play this game anymore. This is the game I want to play. And so yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. So far, that was the biggest shocker for how things turned out, because I really don't think anybody saw that coming.
No, not at all. So it's just very weird. And then you had, like we even discussed a couple episodes ago with the MVP skin, and just how it still kind of lingers that Sinatra isn't there, right? It's very, very odd. Just a very odd and hit to the thing. And I think that's just one other thing, is that no one wants season 3 of the Overwatch League to be done more than Blizzard. Like, they just want to get this thing over with, take it to the off season, figure out when the hell Overwatch League 2 is coming out, and can they postpone season 4 until then? Like, they do not want season 4 of the Overwatch League to start just yet while COVID is still happening. They don't want another split. And honestly, if they were smart, because esports doesn't have to do this. Like, traditional sports have to have the conversation, when are we starting the league, right? When are we going to push this back? Esports doesn't necessarily have that issue. They can start whenever they want. But I really feel like now that when the leagues are over, they need to start considering pushing them back until they can start getting back to normal with LAN events, because it's just not the same. It's not. And the last thing you want to do is start the league split and then end up in the middle of it where you're starting LANs, almost like they did this year, but opposite. Like, because that's a mess.
I don't see many leagues taking that type of approach, though, because of the money that's involved, right? Like,
Right.
Overwatch would be the one where, if I were them, I would just release Overwatch 2 to start the year, and then delay the next season for Overwatch 2's like first inaugural season or something, right? Like, I think they might have a way of doing that, or doing something like that at least. But for the rest of them, Counter-Strike is going to keep doing what it's doing. CDL is definitely not going to stop, right? For when next year's game comes out, like, they only have one cycle for the game.
But again,
so
we've kind of said CDL is an outlier in this, because all their teams are here, right?
That's
They're the one outlier in all this, is that they are still operating in full league capacity as far as the schedule goes.
Yeah, like, Overwatch would have the toughest time here, but I think they could. Their best bet is just release the other damn game and make the inaugural season whenever COVID settles down.
Yeah. Other than that, I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now with Overwatch League. Again, format changes. Now they're doing the monthly tournaments and things like that. So just one more thing that you got to keep up with this year, and how the hell, like, how do you even go into the end of the year even talking about which teams and power rankings are better? Like, I see all these, I mean, I get it. You got to make content, right? But all these other Overwatch League specific shows and things like that doing power rankings. How do you do that? They're not playing against each other. Like, are you just ranking them one side or the other? It's like, it's a mess.
It's just to fill time.
Yeah, it's just to kill some content, I guess. But that's why you listen to the number one esports podcast who can talk about anything and not just one game. Just saying. What else here? We have one last thing, I think, for Counter-Strike, really. And that's just the Astralis roster bonanza that's been going on, and still to this day going on.
Yeah, I mean, S-Tag's obviously finally joining the roster, but it's been something that's like kind of captivated the scene, because everything else has been so slow, right? It still would have been a story regardless, because it is a big deal, especially for the number one team. But now that we know where that saga went with Glaive and Zipnix both taking a little time away, okay, well, now it all makes sense why they were doing what they were doing. But still, nonetheless, very interesting. Like, if they come back and when they come back, Do they ever like integrate these players in slowly? Do they make a roster change for whatever reason? That'll be, I think, when the big news cycles back up again for this, because now it all makes sense. Like they needed these guys, so what are
Yeah.
they supposed to do?
Yep. Recently, again, for Call of Duty, one last thing. There is Karma retiring. We've talked about it, how this has just been from a game standpoint, from a multiplayer league standpoint. Warzone is different, even though I think it still sucks, but that's just my beef with it. You had one of the most, if not the most historic pro in the league retire. Not because he's old, not because he's got kids and he needs to focus on those, not because he wants to pursue other things. No, he retired because the game was so bad that he felt like he just needed to stop. He didn't want to play the game anymore.
It just like killed his vibe. Like playing this game just completely killed his vibe. And you know what doesn't help though is like he wasn't stepping away if he was on Atlanta FaZe and they're winning.
No,
He's
of
not stepping
course
away
not.
if he was on
Winning makes
Chicago
any
Huntsmen.
game fun.
Yeah, like you're on a team that's a bottom feeder right now that is playing way too slow, unfortunately, and just doesn't have the ability to keep up with the pace of the game right now. You're gonna hate the game. I'm telling you, you're gonna lose every scrim.
And you're on a team that is also under the same ownership umbrella as Vancouver Titans, which we've kind of learned. They fired the GM, they fired the team manager who was working with both of them. Just that ownership has kind of been pulled in many directions this year, with both teams not performing well. So you're not really getting much support from ownership either. Like when Chicago sucks, I think Hex is right there in the locker room to pep them up, right? When Seattle sucks, you're like, shit, is this the game I'm getting benched? Right?
Yeah.
Are they pulling me out of the starting lineup right now?
Yeah, and I'm sure that whole enable situation probably didn't make life fun for him when all of these guys go way back. I mean, it just been a terrible year for that team. But hey, they could still win champs.
Could still win champs. You never know. That's the beauty of it. A few other just house cleaning items, I think, for 2020. Let's talk about some of the games that came and went. I mean, for me, one of the big ones, Halo PC. I know it's still popular, and it's still good in the sense of like for me, if you haven't played Halo in years and you just wanted to go back and play, it gets the job done. But in my head, it had so much opportunity to lead into Halo Infinite, and it just didn't. On the PC side, it's a bust.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And I do, now that we're talking about this, I want us to mental note, so it's recorded here. I want us to do a segment and talk some thoughts on Halo Infinite as soon as any sort of footage drops, because if it's what I think it is, I think I'm going to make some pretty bold statements ultimately. But yeah, the whole way that they've set this up, unfortunately, with the aim assist that's involved, look, it's not just us being PC lovers and we're just hating on it. The feature's broken. Like it's genuinely broken. And so it makes it for to me, a multiplayer experience that isn't playable. Like it's not enjoyable.
It's the same thing with Warzone. It's the same thing with the aim assistant for COD, right? That's why
Fortnite.
A lot of PC
same thing in Fortnite.
Yeah, it's why a lot of PC players do PC only, and it's not like you said. It's not because you're sore because you're losing. I mean, watch the tape. The tape's there. Aim assist is broken when it comes to crossplay. It's simple as that. And it was really broken in Halo. Hell, you have Summit, which is one of the biggest promoters for Halo and their esports scene when it comes to just sheer, influencing numbers. And he played that game well more than he would normally do because he wanted it to be good. And he was like, I just can't. Because he's playing with like pros and he's in private scrims, obviously, just with his connections. And he's like, there's no way. He's like, I can't even, there's no way I can out aim these guys with aim assist. There's not a chance. So
he would rather play Sea of Thieves and GTA roleplay than like go play Halo multiplayer right now.
Yeah. So it's a shame again, but it's still like, whatever. It is what it is. I guess I kind of expected it.
Yeah. It's good for the controller players though.
Yeah.
It looks like a great experience, but hey, they already have the game. So who cares?
True. And one other game, and you know what's funny? It's that we're doing this show because I was honestly thinking about it earlier today, and I forget why. I think I was looking through games I had installed, and I was like, why the do I still have this installed? Diabolical. Do you remember this game?
So I did uninstall it, just so you know. I don't have it on
I
my
think
PC
I still have it
anymore.
installed. I think I got to uninstall that. But
You
what
know,
was it on? Epic? It was on Epic.
yeah, it was on Epic. Yeah, I mean, to me, unfortunately, a lot of people wanted it to work, and it got
A
more hype than it
lot of people.
probably deserved. First of all, what killed it for me was just the Eminem avatar type thing that they had
Yeah.
going on there. I couldn't get over that personally, just visually. It was not appealing to me. But I love like the arena style shooter. We've grown up with it. We're at that age where we played all those games. Like we
Yeah.
played the Quakes. We played the Unreal tournaments. That genre is going to have a very tough time surviving. People don't play 1v1 games really anymore. Like that's not that. I feel like that style, like more people are getting on and playing with friends than they're probably like going to get on and do. I feel like a traditional 1v1 like those games should be or mostly played. Um, that style of game just isn't popular, and it's having a hard time. We've seen it try and come back several times. Diabolical is just another example of, although I wouldn't say it might be a little early to call it a bust, definitely doesn't have traction like people thought it would have.
No, and you know what's funny is because I haven't kept up with it since that one weekend that we had, right?
Yeah.
And I guess it's not even in beta now. Like this one post on Reddit says, so we're in the last weekend of June. Where is closed beta or open? How many people are going to pay for this game to be not to be released? So I guess it's again, I haven't really kept up with it.
I didn't realize we were playing in closed beta, honestly.
Yeah. No, I mean, even here, like they're, oh my God, Anuj. Things, pray for Diabolical. Thoughts and prayers for everyone in Twitch chat, thoughts and prayers for Diabolical because prayers up. Their last tweet, March 31st. Yikes.
March 31st?
That's
We're
not
in
a good
July?
sign. That's not a good sign. I think the developers tweeted out something saying gonna have a super game dev update for Diabolical. That was June 14th, and that was retweeted by them. But that was just a retweet on June 14th. But their actual last tweet was March, which probably was the weekend that we played.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So that's
Sounds
why
about
the
right.
hype died down, because the game just died. Wow. That's incredible. What a 2020 mid-year review. I just learned, wow. That game had so many people behind it too, like as far as like you were saying. And I know we were excited because we were like, hey, an arena shooter is right up our alley. I mean, me and you are former Quake champions. So
That is true.
we were super excited for it. But wow. Also, Quake Live is like on sale for $3 if you want to get it, but that's not here now. Unbelievable. So there you go. Talk about a dead game. Diabolical. A lot of potential, a lot of hype, but nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I guess just another thing that you feel bad for the arena shooter crowd, that it's just the only option you have is Quake, and the new Quake champions isn't Quake. So
Just like go remake Unreal Tournament. That's what I want.
I want
That's
a
the
new
game I
Unreal.
want.
I want a new Unreal. Like I said, I think Quake Live is like the closest thing to OG Quake right now on Steam, and it's on sale for like $3 if you really want to play it. You could. So there you go. But there's that. So games that we hardly knew for the first half of 2020. If you have other games, because I know we've missed it, because I'm sure we could just go through our Steam list and see. But what other games in 2020? If there's anything we're missing, let us
There's
know.
got to be a BR somewhere in there, right?
There's got to be some game that came out in 2020 that had all the hype in the world and died. Let us know on Twitter at the Center Ring or in our Discord, because there's got to be something other than Halo PC and Diabolical. But I knew there was that one Rocket game too. Was that this year though?
What about that Splitgate?
Oh, Splitgate. That had a few. Man, that's a fun game though. That just didn't have. What we're running into here is some
They
game
came out right before Halo PC.
Yeah, well, that's kind of led into the hype of Halo PC, but it also, I mean, it's by like a indie dev, you know,
Yeah.
like it's just the curse of an indie dev. I think in these days, it's just not going to happen for you. But Splitgate, I think had some potential, but the issue with those games is they live and die by the streamers that play them, right? And so as soon as like Splitgate was a top 5 game on Twitch for like a week, maybe 2. And then as soon as like Dr. Disrespect rages on it once, then everyone will fucking rage on it and say the game sucks, even though it had nothing to do with the game. It's just the fact that it is what it is when it comes to shooters. So
There's too many options, right? You got to be damn near flawless unless you're like a Call of Duty or something that just is going to have that loyal following.
yep. Other than that, I think is that it? Oh, Mixer died. So that's more recent stuff. We had Mixer dying. Coronavirus is still happening. All the sex assault, Me Too movement coming back into esports. That's all recent stuff. But I think for the most part, Anuj, we got everyone caught up. What a crazy 6 months.
Isn't that nuts that it's only 6 months that we just talked about? That almost felt like that could have been the life of the 250 episodes. Like there was enough there that's happened just in those 6 months. So
And I mean, I know we missed stuff because we didn't talk any league, and we had we even had the TSM scandal for League of Legends, right? We didn't even talk about that. The conflict of interest, player, date, and owner, right? That was something for League. You had Cloud9's crazy ass run. So
you had TCR and Alt teaming up to release some fire merch.
#1 merch brand with the #1 esports podcast teaming
the
up.
Compound, whole like showcase that we did, like that was something spectacular in the middle of the year.
So, man, it's just for being a mid-year, 2020 is exhausting. I know it's really cliche to say like when will this year end, but when will it end? Like I don't know how we're going to go through it because at least here in the States, Corona is not going anywhere. Maybe we just need to ship all of the Counter-Strike people to EU so they can have EU LAN tournaments, which I'd be fine with. But now EU is saying they don't even want Americans flying there, so that sucks.
Yeah, it doesn't
I'm
help.
still on board with Dubai Island. If some billionaire in Dubai wants to make an island anytime soon, I'll pitch
The year
in.
started off with us building a wall, and now we're being walled off.
That's deep.
That's deep, isn't it?
That is deep. That's deep. All right, so let's get into some e-news just to wrap up the most recent of what's happening in 2020. Still no music because our old music kept getting copyright flagged because it was like a legit song, and we don't want to do that, Anuj. We don't want to do that. So we'll have to find a new song. But for CSGO, I can't even read this font. Fur banned on Twitch. So reportedly for racist remarks, which that's believable.
He's had a handful of them though.
That's believable.
Yeah, no, I've watched several videos. He's done it unfortunately multiple times. But there was a recent remark that was made that got him flagged because he had made some previously that he did not get banned for.
How many times can someone look? I'm gonna say it. Just because you're foreign doesn't give you a pass when it comes to. We all know what a racist remark is, right? Whether it's simple saying it in Russian or Fur saying it in Portuguese. Like, racist is racist. You can't keep pulling that card of, well, it's different in Brazil. Well, that's because you're all racist. Like, oh, we don't use that as a racist remark. No, you do. It's just when all of you are racist, it doesn't come across that way.
It doesn't make it better.
Like, come on. So there's
Brazil's got some heat recently. For our Brazil listeners, we do love you.
Oh yeah, we do.
It's just been a bad run for you the last couple of weeks.
MIBR has it. Look, go to Furia. All right, MIBR hasn't been treating you well. You got Furia though. They're loyal. So go to them. Flashpoint is reportedly withholding $165,000 worth of payments to the Counter-Strike Professional Players Association. We'll talk a little bit about this next episode, I think, or in a future episode. There's a lot to get to. It's very loaded. It's too much for e-news, but I did want to bring it up, the fact that what was supposed to be this big kumbaya player in League is not turning out that way at all for Flashpoint. So we'll talk about that. S-Tag, as Anuj said earlier, is officially on Astralis. So his contract ran up with whoever he was on. And now he's with Astralis. So there's that.
Yeah, with Heroic.
Yeah, with Heroic. In Call of Duty news, Anuj, I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, MP5 was nerfed in a recent update. The Growl was as well, but that's only going to affect you Warzone players. The MP5 being nerfed is a big one, though, because that was basically known as the best gun in the game. That did lead people to believe that the Uzi was then going to be the gun of choice. But today there was some new GA announcements that looks like it's going to affect that gun as well. So it's going to be interesting. I don't like the fact that they made an MP5 nerf like 2 months before champs. Like it's been the gun of the game all year long. Like people have just played with this gun all year. So for you to nerf it now, again, to me, another knock on the developer because I feel like that was shitty timing.
And beggars can't be choosers, I think, when it comes to this, but they did finally add some more CDL content into the game with their Champs pack. This includes signatures, charms, paint jobs for guns, little cards for the player back or whatever you call it. You know, I get cool. Again, seems a little odd that you're going to introduce all this when you have 2 months left in your league leading up to Champs. When then after that, your game's essentially dead for a big lot of your players. So I don't know. I don't know when there's a good time to release this type of stuff. I will say, me being a sports purist, I do not like the fact that the charm is a championship ring. I know that's a little weird to gripe about, but I feel like that should probably have been the charm for the players who won. Like that would have been a badass cool charm for the players. But everyone walked, and I got, I'm a purist though. I'm a purist. So that's just an old man yelling.
This wouldn't be and like I love the idea of the player stickers. That's really cool.
Yeah.
This wouldn't be a bad pack if they had just like consistently throughout the year release content.
Yeah.
So just feels like a little bit too late.
Yep. In Battle Royale news, Ubisoft is creating a AAA BR called Hyperscape, from what I understand. And apparently this is coming out July 12th. In 12 days? Like this just was announced and now you're coming out with it in 12 days? All right.
I'll be honest with you, dude. I can't wait to play it for a week.
You shut your whore mouth. Even a week sounds unreasonable.
We'll play it for a week at least.
I know you'll play it for a week. I'll play it for a night, bitch about it. I'll probably uninstall and reinstall at least 3 times within that first week because you convinced me to redo it, and then I'll still hate the game.
Is there anything that could be innovative within a BR that would make you excited to play one? Is it gameplay, like the shooting mechanics?
I honestly think if a company took a BR and like shrunk it down to, I don't know, like a 5-on-5 and maybe like did like a best of 30 matches or so and like had it to where there was like an objective to maybe plant something and like there's more of like economy based and the weapons weren't so RNG, I think then I would like them. But even team-based shooters are like repetitive now. Take Counter-Strike out of the equation, right? Because it's the OG here. Right.
Valorant's kind of the new
I will
game
say,
on the block.
This is my beef with any BR game, okay? Because every time I say, well, it's RNG and I hate RNG, right? But like I like card games, so that doesn't make sense, right? My issue with it, because I understand even Counter-Strike has a level of RNG to it, is there's a difference of when I go and play golf. Let's say you and I go play golf, okay? Well, the RNG is it could rain that day, but we're both in the rain, right? We're both playing with that same level of whatever. Now, we go and play golf, and we have to blind pick what club we want to play with to hit off the tee. You get a driver, I get a putter. That's what a BR is to me. So,
that's a good analogy, Tim.
No matter what scenario, I'm never beating you with a putter to hit it off the tee. It's just not going to happen. I could be the better golfer, right? But even you could out-hit Tiger Woods if he had a putter on a tee. Like, that's just how the technology works. And that's what bothers me with the BR game. It's the core functionality of a BR game. There will never be one that I truly enjoy or will deem as an esport.
So what if you knew if you went to this spot, that gun was there? Would that help?
It would, and I've often said I think that would help because then you have risk and reward factors involved where it's like, that guy's got that badass gun, but I know he had to fight for it, right? There was something in there. Not like, okay, we both spawn, I'll go left, you go right, and you find a shotgun and I find a fucking can of pop to drink. Like, what is this? I didn't stand a chance. Right? There was no skill involved. We dropped at the same place. You just got lucky. So
They should do loot tables. I think that would help a BR game.
My beef with BRs is to its core. And like this one here, the whole thing is like it's integrated with Twitch. Like you said, I don't give a shit. Like that's going to be cool if you're a super popular Twitch streamer, but I don't care.
If you're one of the 20 people that could utilize it like properly, okay, great. But that doesn't get me excited to play it as a casual fan, and that's what they need to be appealing to, not the 30 streamers that would. Yeah, sure, they'll play your game for a couple of days, but if it sucks, not fun, like guess what? Game's going to be dead soon.
Yeah.
I know the Rainbow Six pros are looking really forward to it, so maybe they've play tested it, maybe there's something there, or maybe they're just loyal to Ubi. But we're going to try it out. We'll tell you our thoughts on it when it comes out.
Yeah. Yep. Big news. Talk about mid-year review for 2020, man. Fortnite is finally, for its 3rd anniversary, leaving early access. Risky move. Don't know if it's going to work out for them. Hopefully they got all the kinks worked out. But Fortnite is officially leaving early access 3 years and $3 billion later.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's just funny. It's almost comical at this point.
No, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke. You almost feel like they only did it. Maybe they had like a contract or something, like some copyright thing was running out, so now they can drop it. I don't know, but yeah, I really would want to know what was going on. Like, I wish I was a fly on the wall during that meeting, So there's that. You want me to read this last one here? Or do you want to take the next one?
Yeah, no, let's do it. It's just a really good segue to this particular one with Fortnite finally leaving, as Tim said, beta. You have Amazon's Crucible, who flopped so hard that the game is going back into beta, Tim, after being officially released. I don't think I've ever seen this before. A game going back into beta because it was such trash tier.
I almost want to say Battalion did that.
Did they ever fully launch?
I think Battalion fully launched and then backed it up.
Well, the only guy playing that still is Lex, so it's not like it worked out for them either.
Oh, Lex. Hopefully he went pro on it. Hopefully
I think he's going pro Valorant.
Hopefully he lived his lifelong dreams and went pro in Battalion. But I think Battalion also did that. I think Battalion released and then they were like, "Whoa, our bad, not ready." So look, I knew this was gonna happen. I knew it. When there's that other game coming out that Amazon's doing. That's an MMO.
And I played the alpha for that, or maybe it was the beta. It was. I did not enjoy my experience.
It's in there. I have friends that are gonna play it and they're like, "You need to do it." And I'm like,
no.
Look, Amazon.
A few times. Go play WoW. Join us in WoW if you're looking for an MMO to play. It's really still.
I will tell this. Shout out to all our listeners. If you want to play WoW, or if you did play, I think I can still do. Let me know. I will do a recruit a friend. If it's the way it used to be, you get mad XP bonus. Like I can get you to 120 in 2 days.
Real fast.
Really fast. So if you are wanting to get in WoW and get ready for the expansion pack, hit us up and you can play with some esports celebrities, as I like to call ourselves. True. So let me know, and that's not a joke. I'll level you up. Anuj knows me. I have character ADD, so it helps.
Hell, if you get the new expansion, I think you even get a free max level. Yeah,
if you buy the expansion, you get it. So there's that too. So, but let me know. Recruit a friend, and you get bonuses and shit. So let me know. In other news, Trump is banned on Twitch. So Trump, Fur, and Dr. Disrespect all are hanging out together right now, thinking, what do we get banned for? Like, what's happening? What's going on?
They did. So Trump's came out that he rebroadcasted his 2016 debate speech, where I think he called Mexicans rapists in the speech, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what he said about them. And so that's considered hate speech, and that's why he was banned. They said they wanted to treat him like anybody else, unless you're a Linity.
Yeah, unless you got boobs. So let's. Oh, Twitch. Even when you do the right thing,
Oh, Hassan.
you still just look so bad.
They have not made a statement on Hassan yet after all of that.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like, even when you ban Trump for hate speech, which everyone agrees with, everyone's like, oh, hell yeah, Twitch, good job. Hey, well, what about this other guy, though? What about this other chick that you just are ignoring the whole thing for? Like, what happened there? And Twitch is like, quick, ban someone else. Distract him.
Ban the doc. Permanently ban doc.
Get him off our case. It's, man. And also,
maybe that's the secret behind it.
Just keep banning the top streamer. Distract them. Until all that's left is titty streamers. And in other news, not esports. So this is other news, but it's right in our wheelhouse. Seth Rogen is to produce a new CG Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, Anuj. You put this in E-News, and I was like, all right, I'll let you have it.
I was so excited to see this. Seth Rogen is a comedy genius in my eyes, and look, this dude's getting stoned all day. You don't think he's going to come up with an amazing CG TMT movie? Like, I am thrilled that he's doing this. I wanted to throw it in there because for any of you older gamers, you know, we grew up with this shit. So I was excited to see it. Damn, yeah. We should do a Secret of the Ooze like stream or something, like, or Turtles in Time stream, like play some of the old games or something.
If we can find a way to get them, I am 100% down. If they're on like Steam or something, I will play old school Ninja Turtles with you any day of the week. We can do this now because, as we discussed in pre-show, now that Anuj is a gamer dad and I'm a gamer dad, he understands why anytime I'm getting on, I have to be very specific and wise with the time. Like, there is no just random getting on anymore. It's like we have to schedule our game.
We have to make it for the show.
Yeah. Like, we can do whatever we want. We just have to do it for the show. Ooh, which reminds me, this weekend on sale right now. So you got to do it because I don't know when the summer sale is going to end on Steam. Uno is like $3. We are going to do an Uno community night. So pick it up, and we'll hit you up in our Discord. Maybe get a TCR Uno tournament going.
There's like a lot of excitement about this Uno tournament here.
It's hype.
Like, I'm seeing a lot of chatter about this.
The whole Discord is hype. This shit's
years.
serious. We take Uno very serious at the Center Ring. So go pick it up. Let me know in Discord if you're interested. If we get enough people, I wouldn't mind just doing like a little Uno tournament. We can set up a bracket and get that shit going. So we'll figure it out. But either way, go get it now because it's like $3, which is worth it. Not on sale, it's like $10, which if you bought Uno for $10, then you are the 1%. Like that's how that works. If you can afford $10 Uno, then you can afford buying the Dubai Land Island to play Counter-Strike on. So there you have it. All right, so there's it. That's it for the show. Thank you everyone for hanging out in Twitch chat. If you're still there, we always do a post-show chat, so we'll talk a little bit. So hang out, stick around. We will be back what day is it? Wednesday. Yeah, so we'll be back Sunday. Long weekend. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Stay safe.
Please stay safe. Wear your mask if you go out.
Wear a mask if you're going out. Social distance. You don't need to be nut to butt to watch fireworks. Social distance, wear a mask, do the smart thing so we can get proper esports back as soon as possible. And there's that. So again, follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring if you're not doing so. We broadcast every week, Sunday and Wednesday around 8:30, give or take. Again, 2 newborns here. Bear with us. And there's it. I don't know what we're going to talk about. Maybe Dr. Disrespect. Maybe something happens there. Hopefully.
Yeah, we can only pray.
Hopefully. But anyways, for Anuj, I'm Tim. We'll see ya.